So we're going to have Matthew on stream be playing Eldrazi Ramp, who was recently at RC Minneapolis, finished 10th. So get that Pro Tour invite, be his first ever Pro Tour against Sinue Sandoval, who has been our local living end player who's been playing the deck basically ever since I sold it to him.
All right, so Living In and Eldrazi going to be coming up on stream in just a second. Maybe not be the... Living In's not exactly the deck that you would expect to kind of see like right away as well in Modern. It's kind of fallen out of favor.
Yeah, like the deck is not really amazing, like doesn't have the best position, but if you are anticipating to face a lot of Boros Energy, which is the deck to beat right now, and a lot of people are just playing a lot, I can see you may having a good run if you have a good track load, this phase Living It, this phase Boros Energy every single round, making a nice little top 8, and then somehow, maybe get lucky. But the again is a gambling deck, so you're not too sure all the time how to do it. While Matthew playing the Eldrazi Ramp today, I know yesterday at our RCQ on Saturday, he was playing Boros Energy, lost in the finals to Toothy, who was on the Jeskai Ascendancy deck, which is pretty insane. But seeing Matt swap to Eldrazi Ramp is going to be pretty interesting because he wasn't really too high on the deck.
So basically, I guess, did very well with energy and was like, I guess I could come back to that one later, right? And then we'll be able to just basically scout out the rest of the decks in the field here, as we'll see Matt Zhu over on your left, like you said, on the Eldrazi Ramp deck, and Sinhui over on Living End. Now, has there been any sort of innovations to the Living End deck since we've kind of seen it previously, or are we still thinking like we're going to wind up seeing a bunch of cycling creatures? We're going to wind up seeing, things along the lines of like, what are the kind of Cascade spells for the Living End deck now?
Yeah, oh, wait a second.
Oh, he did a swapsies on us.
Wait.
Oh, I thought he said he was playing Eldrazi Ramp. All right, so he just stuck to Boros Energy. So
yeah, well, that's not bad at all, but it's pretty interesting because when he was running his deck list down, he was really down with Eldrazi Ramp. So maybe he did a little bit of psyoping to everyone else around him.
Damn.
Whereas like, hey guys, I'm playing Eldrazi Ramp. Don't mind me. But actually, no, he is going to be playing the Boros Energy. You're going to go down to 17 here with a fetch and shock from the Flooded Strand here. Play a turn 1 Guide of Souls, and then starting to displace Flooded Strand and pass. Well, we might see the turn to a Johnny, which we are going to make a Cat Warrior token on that, get 2 energy and 2 life as well. And then actually, Sinnoh's on Castle Subtlety, pitching and singing the Stupor. So we're not going to be getting life or energy here at all, which is a good sign for Sinue here. But it looks like we might have a response on the stack potentially, but looks like Matt's can put back on top and swing for 1. So great start so far for Sinue, and as you mentioned before, Sinue, as Living End, you want to be facing this matchup.
Yeah, but using that subtlety, getting stuff in the graveyard, being able to bring it back eventually is just going to be the thing that the Living End deck wants to do naturally. And I guess this Ajani just being a good opportunity to pull the trigger from the subtlety. Ajani basically one of the things that really makes this energy deck hum. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean Ajani Goblin Bombardment is the real reason why you play this deck. It's very strong. You can win basically on turn 3, turn 4 with that combo. Because when the Johnny flips, you own a red permanent, you're going to be making a 2-1 Cat Warrior token and also pinging them with them for damage, just for the amount of creatures you have on battlefield. And you know what's funny? A nice little interaction is Voice of Victory. You make two samurai. You know what the samurais are? They're red tokens.
So those are red permanents.
Yeah.
Oh.
So they work very well with Johnny as well. So this little combo there. So anyways, going to go down to 16 here.
Okay, just a quick shock. So quick shock and pass, and I think that's what we're basically going to see Sinhui doing for the next couple of turns, right? Like, this Living End deck really wants to establish its game plan by putting things in its graveyard so it can do its namesake card Living End and vomit everything on the battlefield. So how soon is Sinhui going to be able to do that?
I think it will really just depend on the board state that Maju is going to have, where I think Sinui might be a little bit patient, just try to basically use Living as essentially a board wipe, which is pretty brutal here for Maju, but also there's some fun interactions where Maju can somehow be able to discard some cards in the graveyard, some amount of creatures with some surveils, we can maybe rebuild the board from there.
Yeah.
But it looks like we have a Seasoned Pyromancer coming down here for Maju, so ETB's either discard 2 cards or 2, and for each non-lane card you discard, you make a 1/1. It looks like we did discard a Flage and then Johnny, so it looks like if Living End does come down, we can rebuild the board pretty nicely.
That's an interesting read here by Matt, right? Because that means that Matt basically was like, oh, okay, I put the Ajani on top, right? Like, that's what Matt did. And now he's putting it in the graveyard. So I guess already accounting for the fact that Sinhui's deck is going to want to, like you said, use the Living End as a board wipe. He's playing around that right now, winds up starting off by putting a couple things in the graveyard. And I mean, having Flage in the graveyard is never a bad place to be either. I mean, that's kind of where you want Flage to be, yeah.
I think the most important thing is we have the Johnny in the graveyard here, where it's just gonna be the real enabler for a lot of your Goblin Bombardment shenanigans here. Looks like we're gonna have a Waker. Looks like we have a Wraith coming out as well. Gonna go down to 11 here for Sinue. So
it's getting low.
Get ready to probably living here on turn number 3. So let's see that.
Ooh, it's a second straight Wraith too. All right, all the way down to 9. So you're basically like priced into doing it now or dying next turn just from what's on the battlefield.
Actually, I don't think he has a Cascader in hand.
Oh, maybe he was just looking for it.
This is pretty concerning here for Sinue because he's just gonna potentially die this turn. Looks like we have looks like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage. So 2 out of 2.
Not quite dead, but passing the turn back to Matt Juve. Matt has a way to put like an extra 2 cards in graveyard and then play a land. Flage can come back.
Yeah. I mean,
you can
see what happens here because we also maybe we have a discharge in hand. We can maybe target a card, not choose to pay the energy for it. Hit the energy, get a Guided Souls trigger, and then swing for lethal there.
Ooh, yeah. Guided Souls can wind up being pumped up as well, and that's kind of something that makes this one drop very powerful addition and basically the engine of the energy deck.
Yeah, but that's the reason that we don't have any Ocelot Pride yet, so we don't see the actual full power of this yet. But looks like we're gonna be.
There's the energy token.
There it is. We have energy. So it looks like we're going to be tapping Arena Glory and Steam. Oh, wait, 3?
Oh, this could wind up just being an exertion. Maybe putting something on the battlefield for haste and just being 9 straight up.
So going to maybe exert a Seasoned Pyromancer, which is going to get Subtlety'd, which is actually pretty brutal here. But I think if we do have a discharge in hand, it's still lethal, even with this line.
You know what to see here, Matt, just kind of looking through his options. I mean, at this point, too, it's not the worst thing in the world. If you're going to be having that Living End coming down next turn from Sinhui's side, you can just put your opponent down to 2, and then, yeah, but deciding to put the Seasoned Pyromancer back on top of the library. So Matt's just like, I could just do it again next turn. Sure, I don't have the Arena Glory for haste, but I might just have enough to kill him. Just putting a couple more tokens in the play, gaining more energy, and then maybe Guided Souls there is just going to be lethal.
Yeah, I really hope Sinue, and I really hope Matt sees the line with Discharge here. Maybe it doesn't see it.
Maybe it doesn't have it. I mean, he's got 1 card left in hand, it looks like.
It's 2.
Okay. Looks like 1. Matt's deceiving us with cards in hand and deceiving us with the name of his deck.
Oh, yeah. So.
Okay, so there is a discharge, and it looks like Matt is going to see this line.
Yeah, it looks like trigger on the stack for the Guided Souls. We're going to be Galvanic Discharge our own creature, maybe? Decline to pay any energy and be net positive 3, and then with the guide trigger buff a card. So it looks like we're gonna target a elemental. Choose not to use energy. Then we go to 3, then I go Guide the Soul's trigger. And that is gonna be lethal, exactly 9 on this turn. So it looks like Matt Ju is gonna be taking game number 1 here, which is not where you want. We're gonna be on Sinue's end, but luckily post-board, it does get better for Living End.
What kind of cards is Living End going to be bringing in against the Boros Energy deck? So now, the Living End deck, it didn't do what it wanted to do in the game. It put a lot of things in its graveyard, but it didn't, do the namesake card thing. So, like, what is this deck that is very reliant on finding a Cascader to Living End into and putting things in its graveyard? What does it have against the energy deck?
Well, one of the biggest things is you get to be able to take out your First Engage's main, which are mainly just a super dead card most of the time. Like, you don't really care what they're doing. It's just kind of a dead draw, which I think saying we did draw 1 to 2 Force Negations, we didn't want to see that. With those slots, we taken up by more subtleties in the sideboard at least. And I know about much on his current iteration because he's always changing. I do know he has Inevitable Trail in the sideboard, which we're not seeing in this match, unfortunately. If he is against Eldrazi, maybe.
I was like, trying to think. I was like, how is that actually? Are they you steal like an Ajani?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't seem the greatest thing in the world.
No,
but
no.
I mean, because you don't have any red cards in your deck, right? So you're not going to be able to like flip the Ajani. No, I don't know. That's interesting. But from Matt Ju's side, I mean, your up game is Boros Energy. You're probably one of the most powerful decks in the format right now. And now you're playing against Living End, which you might not have the most reps against, let alone what cards do you have from your side of the sideboard play?
I think some of the biggest ones would be here would be probably like the Molten Rains, cutting off their Molten Rain and Blood Moon. Just be able to strip Living End the mana, since the mana base it's very greedy. And if you can strip they need certain colors to function, especially with their Cascaders, to really go off. And then I think the biggest card here, I think, is already played main board, is Voice of Victory. Is going to be a big game changer for Matt Zhu if he wins R2 without any answers. Voice of Victory, going to be able to basically play everything out for free, but not have to worry about any subtleties or like any weird interactions here. Actually, I think Sinuary will probably have the Colossus Sky Turtle on the sideboard here, so maybe with a bouncer creature or so, but like, on Living, you're just doing mainly your, just your regular plan is good enough. Well, Maju's, we faced the uphill battle here. We just need things to line up very well, and that game's lined up very well, and then everything went very poorly game-wise for Sinuary.
Yeah, Sinuary basically had a fully stocked graveyard to the point. I think there were double Street Wraith, there were multiple Cyclers in there, we had a couple of subtleties as well, and Matt only had the Flage, which would have just died again, and then the Ajani, which I guess would have flipped because of the Flage, but you would have only been left with a cat token and an Ajani on the side of the battlefield then.
Against a very massive board.
Yeah.
Things you can't really block, so it's very unfortunate on Sinuary's end, but hopefully post board it's a little bit better. Maybe get bet on draws. Very unlucky on the street. Basically drew 3 cards, not to find anything at all. But Mashu here, I think he's very happy being able to take the game 1 here, because this game 1's be the hardest one to win in this matchup. Yep. But post board, we're gonna have at least the Blood Moon. I think Blood Moon's probably pretty strong in this matchup right now. Actually, they also is the creature from, what's the one from Dragonstorm? You can't activate, you can't cast spells.
Oh, the actual dragon, was it Clarion? Yeah, Clarion Conqueror.
Yeah, Clarion Conqueror. Matt Zhu is playing a 1 of Clarion Conqueror, so I can see that potentially. I'm not sure, but like I think it's a card you just bring in. Probably more live than the Discharge.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it might be a little bit more live than Discharge. We did see Discharge winning Matt Zhu the game there. Thing is that Sinwade is not really going to have a lot of creatures on their side of the battlefield unless Matt Zhu is already in a sort of losing position. But we'll have to see if Sinwade has one of those Cascaders, and it looks like Shardless Agent is in the opening hand here. Couple of lands as well, so we'll see if this is going to be a keep as Sinwade is on the play. On the flip side here from Matt Zhu, I saw God of Souls, I saw a land, and I think
I see an Ocelot Pride.
Oh,
and we're pitching it, though. Not enough lands.
I was gonna say Guide of Souls, Ocelot Pride. All you really need is like 1 or 2 mana, and that should be a sneep. But it looks like there was no 1 or 2 mana.
Looks like I might have saw a little bit of art there. I think we did leave Enforce of Negation, which is a pretty interesting keep in versus Energy. So, or maybe he's a bit worried on the Goblin Bombardment end.
As I said, like, what's the read there? Is the read just thinking that Matt is going to be sideboarding in a bunch of spells that you need to interact with? I mean, you mentioned, like, the Molten Rains, right?
Yeah, Molten Rains, but, like, I think the main one's probably just Goblin Bombardment. So, looks like we are going to be redrawing Osea Ragavan here. We're on the draw. We're pitching another land here, but that looks okay. We have Ocelot Pride, Ragavan, and a bunch of lands.
Yeah, one of them's an Arena of Glory as well, so.
Looks like a meticulous archive here coming out from Sinuary. Looks like at the top. And actually debating, which is okay.
Oh, because it's an extra land. All right, so Bin's the land. We saw a Cinctus Stupor in hand, as well as a Force of Negation, and one of those Shardless Agents. So Sinway has the pieces that he needs to actually do what he wants to do. Matt is just going to start off by cracking that fetch, shocking in a Ragavan, and then just passing the turn. And at the end of that turn, Sinway is also just going to start cycling away some Street Wraiths.
Oh yeah, looks like a Street Wraith. We get a Cinctus Stupor, and we get another Shardless Agent here. So I might not get the biggest living in, but you know what? I can see it being worth it just to like maybe wipe the board a bit. Maybe just bringing a single Street Wraith is good enough, because not many cards in Matt's deck can really deal with 1 or 2 creatures unless he has Stag Person. But we'll see from there. Oh yeah, I forgot one of the bigger cards that you do get on the energy side is Draven Charm, which you with Exile Graveyard.
Ooh, yeah, that's pretty powerful. Thraben Charm being an exile graveyard in response to a living end on the stack just means that Sinhui just kind of gets nothing out of it, and maybe a board wipe, but then you're just left over with that Shardless Agent afterwards. Matt G, however, is just going to be swinging with the Ragavan. Can't exactly see. I think that was a subtlety that wanted getting exiled from the top there, and then just passing that turn on over after attacking, but playing this Ocelot Pride, which is the other card in the energy deck that really makes it hum.
Oh yeah, this is probably the card in the deck that really makes this deck pretty good. Where the guy Souls is just a guy, get energy, cool, but be able to get the cities placing, and you can sometimes. The one time I did face energy at Minneapolis, my opponent made 14 cat tokens in the turn.
That's a lot of cats.
So this card's pretty good, especially with Goblin Bombardment, where you can just basically fling your cats out. You make every turn, also get life, get damage, pretty good, and also get energy on top of the guy Souls being out. But it looks like Sinhui here is in the think tank right now. Maybe you want to shock this in, maybe play the Shardless you have in the hand, or actually we're not going to do that, so we're going to play a tap and pass.
Oh, interesting. Sinhui maybe getting a little bit greedy, but wanting to develop this board a little bit more. There's only a Street Wraith in the graveyard right now that would come back. There's also an Ardent Plea, so we could just use that instead of the Shardless Agent as well, but it looks like Sinhui just going to be playing it a little bit more conservatively. Now, I guess at this point, Matt might be incentivized to overextend with the Ocelot Pride, but depending on Matt's hand, he might not even need that much to start getting the City's Blessing.
Yeah, I mean, like, this board is good enough to the point where I think you just jam a Cascade here just to wipe the board, and now because of that, we do get a Geisels in the graveyard, so maybe it doesn't change much. But this board state is pretty strong. Also, Pride plus Ragavan, getting another treasure here and flipping the top of your card. This could be really bad, and it's just
a Street Wraith.
It's a Street Wraith, it's not too bad, but anyway, we're gonna go down to 13 here. We have 2 treasures now. And as you, looks like we have only another also Pride in hand, but I don't think we're not incentivized to play it at all.
No, I mean at this point, if you have land, you can just hard cast that Street Wraith if you really want to, and be like, all right, Sinhui, you want to like start wiping your own stuff? Like, what's going on? All right, Matt. In the tank here a little bit. We do know about the one Ocelot Pride in hand, but maybe just looking at what land he wants to play, and then like you said, you're not really priced into doing much here. All right, he is going to wind up doing a bunch, though.
We're casting the Shearing.
All right.
Okay, so, I mean, not a bad play to deal on Matt Zhu's end, because you don't really want to play the Ocelot Pride in the hand. We do have a Geisels out, so we do have a combo still going, and we are going to make a... Oh, actually, Endurance will be able to get that Geisels out of the graveyard, but it looks like Sinhui wants to Cascade this turn now, so... Looks like we're going to draw a card on Sinui's end, and looks like it's a generous end. So we can grab a land here and make that graveyard even bigger, but we're actually going to do it now.
Just going for the Ardent Plea right away. All right, so Sinhui pitched one of the Shardless Agents in order to get that Endurance, but Endurance is the graveyard as well. So now we have this Ardent Plea. It's going to always cascade into the namesake card. Living End right there for Sinhui.
Oh, yeah.
And like you said, this is a one-sided board wipe from Matt Zhu's side, and Sinhui is going to be getting at least an Endurance and a Street Wraith, which can then shuffle Matt Zhu's graveyard right back.
Yeah. Not bad at all. By the way, that Living End, that's my gift right there.
That's your gift? That's your birthday gift?
Oh yeah, I got him a place of the RC promo Living End.
It's putting it to good use.
Oh yeah, I mean, he loves this deck so much, but it looks like from the Cascade, Sinhui did the board in Teferi, which is also very interesting.
Oh, very interesting. All right, so Matt going to decides to play land first. So he has double Arena of Glory, plays the Seasoned Pyromancer, discards 2 lands, draws 2 cards. That Ocelot Pride looks like it's going to be coming down now, and Matt trying to rebuild the board over here, but Sinhui's got some bigger things on their side.
Oh yeah, as people say, big things are coming, but looks like we're going to be basically rebuilding the board to back where we were at before. The city has what, 2 Shardless Agents in the hand, so I can see swinging out, maybe wiping the board again. You'll have a Street Wraith and maybe a Generous End, but we're just gonna swing right now. Get your guaranteed damage in. That's
6 altogether.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times when you hit this point of the game with the Living End deck and you kind of have like a couple of things and your opponent starts rebuilding a board, it kind of looks like a higher powered version of Limited to me. You're just bashing in with these 3 and 4 power things and like trying to figure out what's going to happen. And
looks like we are going to be doing that line where we're going to do the Generous into the graveyard, going to get the forest, and actually hedge mate. So, ooh, interesting. We're going to maybe wait another turn, see how Matt develops.
I mean, at this point, too, you can use that Surveil land, maybe hit something else in your graveyard, and then see if you want to start cascading away again. Okay, just Surveil's away a land. I mean, that's probably the worst thing to have on top of your library.
Force of Vigor in Sinue's hand.
I knew there's a Force of Negation, but that other card, it's either another Ent or Force of Vigor. Both of those cards look very similar to me.
Force of Vigor, which is interesting, bringing into Magic. Maybe he's actually pairing the Magic as Chalice on 0.
Chalice on 0 would also be a very powerful play. You already mentioned about how Goblin Bombardment is going to be something that he's very afraid of, and there it is, right on cue. All right, I love doing that.
The Goblin Bombardment, probably the strongest card, in my opinion, in this Boros Energy deck, where it's really a stickler where we are not going to do that. We are going to get the Force Negation out.
Ooh, and he has to pitch the other Cascader in order to do so. So really afraid of that Bombardment, and now just doesn't have the Cascade.
I mean, yeah, the Bombardment is an insane card in this deck, where it does enable you. It does basically cheat out a lot of wins. But let's see how Matchew's going to respond. I don't think he has much in hand here. Like, maybe Matchew's thinking, like, maybe we could fetch for Elegant Parlor in response to maybe a living and rebuild the board in that way. But it looks like we just have to make a guy in pass, and let's see. What is Sinewy going to do here? We do have an Ardent Plate in the hands here, so we can cast here if we need to.
All right.
But this board already looks pretty strong, but so we're going to be blocking with the cat token. We're going to take 4. Sorry, we take 3. Go to 9. Excuse me, what to do here. Maybe at this point we can start hard casting some of our own creatures.
I mean, we got 4 mana. One more, and we can hard cast a lot of things in our deck. I mean, but it looks like it's just the Ardent Plea, a land, and that. I think it was. If there was a Force of Vigor in Sinue's hand, I don't think he would have ripped that Force of Negation and pitched the other Cascader.
Maybe. Well, you can't pitch Force Negation. You can't pitch Force of Vigor to Force Negation, sadly.
Yeah. I was
Like,
okay, he's just gonna go for it. So Ardent Plea number 2 is going to wind. Oh, right off the top. Haha. Better player.
So it looks like Matthew is going to take the line of Elegant Parlor to maybe fill the graveyard with a creature to maybe at least have something. But yeah, this signals that Sinue will try to push for a win here. Also, you can gain life with the Generous as well because it makes a food token on ETB. But let's see, Elegant Parlor trigger on the stack here. Can we pitch a creature? And it is a Force of Victory.
That's a pretty solid creature to bin off the top. Matt with a shrug right there. It's just like, better lucky than good sometimes.
Oh yeah. But it looks like we're going to have a fruit token come out here from Generous End. And we're also going to have another Street Raid come out here. So not too bad after all, but Force of Victory, probably one of the best cards to get there.
Is that Deafening Silence that Matt drew?
Silence in hand, so
like, I don't recognize that card.
Yeah, especially with the white border. Looks like we're going to be playing a Flage here. We can Flage on a Street Raid's power toughness.
Toughness is 4.
4, so we're not going to do that. So we can hit Sinue's space and go to 11 here for Matt Zhu, and then down to 7 for Sinue. Man, this game is really close. At least like Sinue's hand is essentially almost out of the gas, where having this Flage in graveyard is pretty important. We're gonna play the Deafening Silence right now.
We might. I mean, that would just prevent Sinue from being able to cascade again. Although we've already had 2 Living Ends cast, and normally you don't have all 4 in the Living End deck either.
Oh yeah, typically you're only playing 3 main.
So there's 1 left. So Matt even just considering, is this Deafening Silence worth playing? Looks like the answer is no. And Sinue is just going to wind up doing a quick little fetch here. End of turn, going down to 6, finds an island.
Try to conserve the life a little bit here, but we can maybe just crack the food token here, go back to 9. Looks like that is what we're going to do. Go to 9 here, basically recover from that Flage. And then off the top here, hopefully it's something, and it is. What is that?
It's like a cat of some sort. It's a white card, but all right, just swinging on in here. Generous and
the Street Raid here, so Generous End we swing in for 9 damage, or is it 8 damage? Sorry.
8 altogether, and say it's a 3 and a 5 if I recall correctly. I was trying to bring it up to remember how much power Generous End has, because I'm not familiar with Generous End usually getting in the red zone as frequently.
Oh yeah, so we got another 3 here for Matt. So Matt, we might have lethal here with Assertive Flage, because Sinuate can't interact with Voice of Victory out.
Yeah, so just a quick fetch here from Matt. Going down to 2. If we Arena of Glory Flage, is that just dead?
That's more than lethal. Because Arena of Glory Flage by itself is 12.
Yeah, and Sinhui might be thinking that he can respond, but Voice of Victory says no. There's the Exertion. There's double white, double red. Flage hitting the battlefield's going to hit Sinhui in the face. It's going to swing in, and it's going to trigger as well to hit Sinhui again. That should just be death. Just be 12.
Yeah, unless what does Sinhui have in hand here? I mean, a Colossus Sky Tower does interact with this thing.
Oh, yeah, because that is an ability. It is not a spell that is being cast.
But we do?
For cycling?
Do you get the turtle? Did we?
Did we draw the turtle?
Did we draw that turtle? Oh wait,
Oh, okay.
We
Cycle?
We're still one change with the turtle. No turtle.
It's a subtlety. We would have liked that before the Voice of Victory was on the battlefield.
Yeah. But looks like Matt Shoes be taking this set most likely here. Not really much you can do here on Sinuate's end because we just really needed the turtle to stop this attack. Because swing for lethal.
Sinway should go down to 3. Oh, is Sinway at higher life total than we thought? Sinway only going down to 3. I thought that there would have been
No.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay. He's just verifying life totals there. And I was like, I'm pretty sure the Flage attack is death, and that's going to be Matt Zhu. Boros Energy, not Eldrazi Ramp,
Not Eldrazi
taking
Ramp.
round number 1, going up 1-0 at the start of this RCQ.
Oh yeah.